Oh, I love it.
What happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America. This this is the podcast that is just as real, just as close, just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The OZ and the Freak Talk Geek podcast. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
Oh, I loved it. I love that. I oh god.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. You are watching or listening to the Premier Geek Podcast, OZ and the Freak Talk Geek. I'm OZ.
And I'm the Freak. And thank you for joining us on this horrifically great episode that we've got today. Terrific, terrible, and terrifying.
It's time for summertime Halloween.
Oh yes. Oh, it's always Halloween over here at Camp Shared. So we thoroughly celebrate Halloween and all things horror all year long. You know, we're that family that when like towards Halloween, when Spirit Halloween start
Mm-hmm.
popping up everywhere, and people's like, "Yay! You know, we get to get Halloween decorations." Me and the wife, we're excited because we get to get home decor.
I miss that so much. I
Yeah,
miss doing that so much. Uh, Not going to be able to do that for a while.
it's okay. It's okay.
No.
I'll celebrate it even more for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Freak.
uh, like
Did you catch or do you have any idea of what I was paraphrasing there in my opening?
so it sounded like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, uh, but it also really reminded me of Are You Afraid of the Dark from Nickelodeon?
It had a little bit of that vibe, but no, it was from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like what I believe, and I hopefully, well, not hopefully, but I could be wrong. But your
Hmm.
favorite horror movie of all time, be all end all,
Oh yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I thought I should
Oh
do a little
yeah.
bit of tribute to that.
I thoroughly loved it.
Awesome. Then I did my job, and the rest of the podcast is yours, brother.
All right. Well, that's all for today's episode.
All right, thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us on our social medias, OATFTG.
Uh, excuse me while I look up our notes here. What we're doing today is there's way too much shit to go into when we're talking horror.
In
Specifically
particular,
horror
horror
movies.
films.
Yeah,
Yes.
correct. Horror films. And I'm glad that you still say films. You know, that's one of the things that like I notice about more about older people. My wife, she critiqued me on it when we were first together, how I'll say that was a great film. You know, I don't necessarily say movie. I always say film because back in our time, everything was originally recorded on film. You know.
I think there's some type of way that I distinguish it in my head. There is a difference between film and movies. Film comes with effort. Movie does not. Maybe. Um,
This is true.
but I don't know. I,
But
I, I
but
toss in between. But in regards to horror, uh,
some of my greatest films though were B budget horror films, and not much effort went into those.
okay. Well, I mean, no, they tried very hard on a very minimum budget.
And there's some that they tried very hard to not seem like they tried at all.
Hipsters.
So yeah, as I was getting at, today we're talking about horror films, and because this is absolutely one of my favorite topics, I love horror movies, horror books, horror novels, graphic novels, horror TV shows. I love the whole horror world, horror conventions. I love it. I love everything horror. Okay, the gory nastiness and stuff like that. That's my favorite.
Right.
And so today, because it's such a broad topic, this is one that we're going to have to come back to again later because I really want to. we're going to narrow it down a little bit. So today we both picked, we round robin, chose some topic or genres, movie genres. We're going to talk about some of our favorites from said topics. We're going to throw in some of our least favorites out there. And at the end, we're going to come up with some of the movies too that we definitely thought were scary and pretty terrifying.
Right. And after we talk
Which
about
is
the
hard.
particular genres, I do want to go back and I want to, at the end, circle around back at the
Hmm.
end and talk about our favorite horror movie in general.
Yeah.
No matter what genre it is, just overall broad, your top five, and also the top five movies that scared you the most.
I mean, so the very first
And I,
genre. Go ahead.
okay, go ahead.
No, no,
I was
no, no,
like,
no.
and I'm super interested to get to the point where I find out what movies legitimately scared you. Now, you are the horror guy out of the two of us. Now, I'm more of an overall general movie guy.
Yeah.
Horror really doesn't really. I don't go out of my way to watch horror movies unless specifically somebody says, "Dude, check this one out."
Uh-huh.
So my taste in horror films is very saccharine.
Hmm.
It's very general.
Yeah.
I don't even know if any of these genres or any of these things I got any real deep cuts. So
They don't have to be deep cuts for you to be their favorites.
no,
So,
no, that's true. That's true. But I'm just saying, just to be forewarned to any horror
mhm.
nerds out there, or
Yeah.
any slasher geeks. From me, with my opinion, it's just I like them. I just don't go out of my way and watch them.
Well, and this is a lot of the big part of the whole podcast. This is one of the cool things. We're such great friends. We're on so many of the same levels and everything. Yet, you know, I'm on one side of the spectrum over here, and then you're over here and your side. We've got certain cut topics and everything where we're just right there, but we have others where we kind of clash. You bring a little this, I bring a little this. I mean, we both have different things that we lean more towards.
Sure,
You
sure.
know,
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, let's get started. Let's get started on our genre picks.
okay.
So
Do we want
we
to
did
go in
do round
order?
robin on the broad general terms
Uh huh.
of these specific genres,
Yeah.
and we did choose which genres we wish to talk about.
And
So,
I want to go out. I want to go out too and say that when we were choosing the genre, the topics to choose from,
mm-hmm.
because I know that I am way more invested and into horror movie films and whatnot than you are, I tried to make my genres pretty broad spectrum. Whereas you got pretty detailed. You got pretty in there in the nit and gritty with some of the ones that you were choosing. Like
Yeah,
I tried to leave it wide open for you, and you were like,
yeah.
"Nah, man, nah, we're going ham. We're."
Well, well, I felt like based on my shortcomings and my overall fandom of horror, I
Hmm.
wanted to pay a little bit more attention to detail, come up with some notes.
Yeah.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4,
my
four little
my
post-it notes here.
my notes are
Of
mostly hanging on my wall and my VHS collection, which I wanted to pull out, but we actually bought a really large couch, and half of my VHS collection I can't get to now
oh
because it
Jesus,
sits right next to our entertainment center, and we have one of those old entertainment centers that has like the big, very slim, thin shelf, but it's really long that pulls out, and it's
that's
just
what she
meant for
said.
VHS to get lined in there.
Nice,
All right.
nice. So before we got started, we went over as many of the different genres of horror films that we could consider: body horror, Christmas horror, erotic, folk, found footage, gothic, natural, psychological, religious, slasher, supernatural, teen, foreign.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's a couple more that I'm missing.
Did you cult and
Zombie,
ritualistic?
sci-fi, yeah, cult and ritualistic. So based on that, what was your first choice genre to talk about tonight?
The first one I chose, and this genre alone, I could talk about for hours. Just this one It's one of my biggest favorites. Zombies.
Zombies. Good choice.
Zombies.
Good.
Zombies have always been some great movies, and for a little bit there, it seemed like, I don't know, the world just woke up to zombies one day and decided the next 10 years are going to be like zombie films and zombie shows. Everything's zombie. And I was as giddy as a little schoolgirl, but it was weird and random the way it just kind of happened.
Oh, I think AMC buying the rights for The Walking Dead had a big thing to do with that.
Well, I mean, so shortly before Walking Dead, we had like the release of Automaton Transfusion. A little bit later, we had Train to Busan, which was a foreign film, a Japanese film with zombies on trains. We had zombies on planes. We had snakes on planes, but that's a different story. We had zombies everywhere. There were zombie movies, zombie shows. They were remaking zombie movies, Dawn of the Dead. They were just coming up with, like, it was just everywhere you looked. It was zombie films for a while, and then it kind of faded out. But either way, for a while there, I loved it. It was one of my favorites. So zombies. Now, when we're talking zombies, you got to break them down into two categories here. Okay. You've got the Romeros. The Romeros are talking about our old school Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, all of the Deads, where you've got
the meandering, slow, brain-eating zombie.
Yeah, and it's, to quote what they said in Dawn of the Dead, when there's no more room left in hell, the dead shall walk the earth, or the dead will walk the earth. There's not really any explanation. It just happens.
Right.
There's just zombies.
Right.
But then you get movies like Resident Evil, World War Z, 28 days and 28 weeks later, and 28 years later, which is soon to come out, like, I think next year. I'm not sure, but I'm really looking forward to that because it's one of my favorites.
It will be legitimately 28 years later since
yes,
it was
it will.
The first one, right?
Yes, it will. Well, no. You know what? Don't quote me on that. I have to check. But regardless, so you have the two categories. You have the Romeros, and then you have virus and biological.
Right.
We say virus and biological because The Last of Us, I don't know if you've seen that TV show. It's based off of a game. Great show. Biological. We've got mushrooms.
Fungus, yeah.
Fungus, yeah. With it, then you've got the T virus and Resident Evil, and then 28 days later, you had the Berserk gene, that virus that they gave to the monkeys that spread to the people.
Right.
So you got different categories. 28 days later, absolute, by far, one of my absolute favorites zombie films, if that has to do with, I would say, a virus.
Okay.
A long run.
28 days later is on my list.
Oh, yeah?
It is. It is on my list of my favorite zombie movies. It's definitely in my top 3.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Now, when it comes to the Romeros, you can't beat Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead is, I mean, you can. Dawn of the Dead is actually a by far better movie, but I love the randomness of the original Night of the Living Dead. They're in the cemetery. They're coming, Sharon. They're coming to get you. And then and it's just like they go to the house. The zombies are just gnawing on things, and it's one of my favorites because it was really the birth of everything else that came out.
Sure.
I will say, Dawn of the Dead remake, great movie. They absolutely did a great job on that one. So, if I'm going to have to actually pick one, 28 Days Later for Virus and the Dawn of the Dead remake is actually one of my favorites, I would say, because I've seen it the most out of all the others.
Dawn of the Dead remake makes my list too. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And it is just a fantastic piece. It is. Immediately, dude wakes up. Oh my God. Hey, little girl, what's the matter? Oh, run! Look, a mall. Okay, sounds great.
The
Let's
scene in
go.
that
I'm
the
in for the
scene in
ride.
that movie that has always actually crept me out, and this is saying a lot because I am one of those people that gets excited and happy when I see a horror movie, when I see a zombie ripping people flesh off. Some people sit in their chair and squeal and they're scared. I'm on the edge of my seat because I'm like, I'm excited about this because I love this stuff. I
Sure.
love the gore. It doesn't scare me. But the one creepy scene out of that movie was, do you remember the old chubby woman who was diseased and dying and sick, and they had her like
Hmm.
in a wheelbarrow and they moved her into the one room?
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
scene when she jumps up out of the bed and literally just starts rampaging through, running really really fast.
Yeah.
That scene actually kind of creeps me out. The way that she moves. It's just, I don't know. It wasn't natural. They did a great job.
Yeah. No, and one of my favorite scenes in that one is the zombie baby.
Oh, that scene was sad.
Right, but it's a heart tug. It is a emotional scene
Uh
in the
huh.
middle of all this weird chaos. That's my favorite scene.
Hey, hold on one moment. Crystal, can you bring me Leroy? I got to show you something now.
Okay.
I waiting on the missus though, but we can carry
So,
on.
so Dawn of the Dead definitely at least in my top three. Uh, that one actually reintroduced me to the whole
The
zombie
baby.
genre.
The baby. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, with your separation of the zombies and
Mm-hmm.
everybody, I think people now understand that there are the different types of zombies and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. One of my favorite zombie movies is based on the book World War Z. And what I liked about World War Z and the zombies there in that movie is, let me see, come on, show me. Oh, him cute.
This is
Him eating
baby
his own
Leroy.
feet.
Yeah. This. You mentioned the zombie baby, and I had to show this one off.
Home
This is
decor.
little baby Leroy. So World War Z.
World War Z, and what I appreciated about it, what they did differently with the zombies, and they became a force of nature. They
Mm-hmm.
became like a flood. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was a flood, and it was a force, and it just was not going to stop.
No.
The piling up on top of one another and just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming, and I really appreciated that take. You know, was the movie like the book? No, not
No.
really, but visually, I put World War Z as one of my favorite ones, just because they had the brass to
Mm-hmm.
try something different with the zombie genre, and I think it worked.
I think World War Z was a phenomenal hit. I think they did a great job. Yes, as a fan of the book, wasn't we've already discussed this. You're never going to get the books right, okay? The book is more of like a reference guide.
Yeah,
It's loosely based on.
sure.
But they did a great job. The problem I have with World War Z is the same problem I have with 28 Days Later. If those zombies, the types, are ever to happen, I stand zero fucking chance. I am I'm fucking dead meat, dude. Those ones are raging and running at top speeds. I'm a fat dude and I'm grounded by gravity. It is not going to happen. I'm going to die very quickly. The only way that I will ever survive a zombie invasion like that is if I just hide.
Yeah,
It would be the world's greatest game of hide and seek. I would stand no chance though.
same. I'm right there with you. I mean, if I was right there with you, I'd like push you down
I'd trip
and
you.
run, you know.
You
But
wouldn't hold my hand and fall down with me?
no,
I don't blame you.
no, no, no. They're gonna be eating on your ass for a little while. I
Oh
got
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Any honorable mentions?
Um don't want to really get too much into it. I want to move on to the next category. But
Okay.
automaton transfusion.
Automaton transfusion.
Automaton transfusion. If you like zombie flicks, check that one out.
All right. And you want to tell us about it, or just say, hey,
Nope.
just check it out?
No cliff notes here. That's all you get as a title.
Okay. Is it streaming on anything?
Like I said, I can talk about zombies for hours. All right.
Okay.
we have 5 more genres to get through
All right.
in a timely fashion.
Yes. So then we'll go on to the next genre, and we're gonna go for my pick, my
Mm-hmm.
first pick. And if I'm gonna watch horror movies, I want to see some gore. In fact, I want to see some body horror. I want to see weird shit coming out of people's bodies. I want to see weird things happening. I want to see limbs cut off. I want gore because I can appreciate it as an art form.
Oh
The
yes, absolutely.
practical effects. I
Yeah.
want to see the practical effects. I want to know how the hell they do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like them so much. So when I want to
Mm-hmm.
say body horror, if you're not sure exactly what I'm talking about, think the Human Centipede, or what was the one I was telling you about earlier?
Saw.
Saw, the Saw franchise. I mean, they're cutting limbs off left and right. They're
Mm-hmm.
shoving needles into eyeballs. Um, so one of my favorite body horror movies in this genre of this deep, nasty ass gore
Uh-huh.
is Hostel.
Ooh, that's such a good one. That's such
I
a good
love
one.
Hostel. Hostel, just honestly, in the terms of why is this happening,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense. You know, it
Yeah.
really does. It really just like rich people just are rich enough, and they just can.
Mm-hmm.
They can
It's like a.
stuff, and they, you know.
Have you ever? Did you ever see
Oh, I forgot about that.
Did you ever see the movie The World's Most Dangerous Game?
And, no, I don't think so.
Basically, people hunting people.
Oh, I've seen versions of that
Yeah,
story.
different version, but yeah, it was the original one. I think it had like Ice-T in it. The original one did, and it was called The World's Most Dangerous Game, and because the world's most dangerous game is man, and to me, Hostel was like the shooting fish in a barrel version of that.
Sure.
Because they've got these people, they've sedated them, they're bound, and they could just do whatever the hell they want. And it ended up being kind of more like a competition too style in a way. If you've watched part 2 or part 3 as well,
Right.
and they got pretty grotesque, and not a lot of movies make me cringe. You know,
Exactly.
I'm curious if you know the scene that I'm talking about that really fucking made me cringe.
Was it when she had that, when she turned the tables on the doctor? No. Tell me then.
The Achilles tendon.
Yep. Okay.
You remember that scene?
Yep, I do. First one.
Oh, that scene alone just that scene fucked me up, dude. And because not just the fact that it happened, the way they showed it, and the, like you say, you're curious about the gore, the graphics, the special effects, that how they did that and shit. This looked so real, and shit like that is very cringy to me. Like that really got me going. Ugh. Just thinking about it right now. Ugh.
So what's one of your favorite body horror movies?
I think that this would absolutely fall under the category, and I've got a little show and tell to go along with this one.
I love show and tell.
This one was by Clive Barker. Started out as a book series, and it became a cult classic in the horror community. I'm talking about Hellraiser.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my little trophies that I've got, where I got to meet several members of the cast. Doug Bradley was hilarious to meet in person. That's the guy that plays Pinhead.
Guy that used to play Pinhead.
Well, yeah. Now, oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot the name of the new guy. Well, you've the new guy / now you have a new woman. That's gonna bug the shit out of me. I can't.
Okay, well,
I
we
can't
won't
remember
hang
his
on
name.
to it much longer.
Yeah.
See, now this is where
Paul T. Taylor. Paul T. Taylor was the new Pinhead in Judgment Day.
Right.
But Human Centipede too.
This
And I don't mean Human
TOO.
Centipede. Also, I mean Human Centipede 2.
Okay, see, I couldn't go. I didn't know if I should go between the first one and the second one. My favorite one of the two of them has got to be the original. Give me the short, just give me three bodies is just enough,
Mm-hmm.
and not so much masturbating with sandpaper.
So, and for those who haven't seen, most people, especially due to South Park and other pop culture, at least know what Human Centipede is. Human
Yeah,
Centipede
it kind of breached all of pop culture there for a
Human
minute.
Centipede Part 2 didn't quite make it there. And Human Centipede 2, in this world, what the events that took place in Human Centipede 1 really happened. There's a nasty, disgusting old parking booth attendant guy who is obsessed with what this guy did. He has no medical background, no history, no knowledge in the medical field whatsoever. He kidnaps these people, sedates them, locks them up in like this garage room that's just nasty. He's got nasty, disgusting old tools that are just rusty, kind of, not even all that sharp. And he tries to do what the guy did in Human Centipede, and he is just fucking these people up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no surgical precision, and part 2 is 10 times more cringeworthy than part 1 just because of the fact that this guy's not a professional and he's not using professional tools. Like, the scenes when he's severing like the knees and stuff, it's just ugh.
The second one is definitely more body horror. I
Yes.
appreciate the first one more as it being
The first one was more artsy. Like,
more artsy, of
mhm.
course, and then I thought that the clean and sterile environment and what this guy believed he
Mhm.
could do was scarier than this psycho trying to pretend to be something else.
And I do appreciate the fact that instead of just having the same guy doing the same thing over again, they had a fan with no knowledge of what he did try to recopy it. Like, it was a
No,
different take on it. It was a great,
like I
great
said,
take.
I had a hard time choosing between the two of them. What
Yeah,
I didn't want to do is because I'd never finished watching it. I got to see exactly what I wanted to see when that was with Human Centipede 3.
we couldn't make it. We couldn't make it. Not even maybe 20 minutes through it.
I wanted to see how long the centipede was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that it was in a prison. I was like, yeah, that's enough. I'm done.
It
No more.
was part 3 was it looked like it was filmed like a really cheesy porno. Like,
Yeah.
we got really strong pornographic vibes, like cheesy
Mm-hmm.
porno Debbie Does Dallas vibes coming from
Yeah,
this thing.
60s, 70s porn. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I get
yeah. We got a lot of that, and we were just like, this is pretty bad.
it. Yeah.
But as far as that the category goes, my all-time favorite has to go, shout out, Hellraiser.
Okay.
Really
Hellraiser's not bad.
really close second though was the entire Saw series. I love those movies.
I haven't seen Spiral and I haven't seen Saw X yet. I'm a little behind on those.
Saw X was great. I liked it. The Misses not so much, and Spiral was a very different perspective, but it was still a good movie.
I wasn't expecting Saw, but it looks like at least they're trying to do something different within the same universe. So I appreciate that. One of the other, gosh, I listed a few here for my favorites.
Yeah.
Human Centipede, Saw. Saw, I'm not going to keep on my favorite because I think I enjoy the whole series, and to narrow it down to one of those movies is going to be extremely difficult.
I couldn't.
So I can't really put it in the classification as one of my favorites. So, fuck it. I am a Kevin Smith fanboy. I'm going to have to say Tusk.
Tusk was such a great movie. I don't care what anybody says.
Tusk was amazing.
It was.
Justin Long, fantastic, showing the horror on his face when he realized what was happening to him. Absolutely amazing. Probably the best, maybe the second best stoned Kevin Smith movies. Um,
Don't forget Yoga Hosers.
no, I was thinking more of another movie that's going to be. Well, is it on here? Nope, we're not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Red
We'll
State.
get to it later.
Red State. I'm not. This doesn't come up later for me.
Okay.
Red State is, I think, the superior stoned Kevin Smith movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it is in the horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes into the religious
Yeah.
genre. So Tusk, yeah, Tusk is just it's
It's a great pick.
it's absolutely bewildering.
At
Who the hell comes up with this kind of shit?
At the end, when he's fully in the suit and he's just sitting there, the guy leaves, and you like the expression on his face, like, this is my fucking life now. You know, like, what the fuck? You know,
it goes from extreme body horror to just sadness and acceptance. It's just like
when he starts eating the fish.
Yeah,
Justin Long, by the way, is such an amazing actor.
He's underrated in some of his.
I will say this: if Justin Long is in a movie, it's going to be a great movie. I'm just saying. Jeepers Creepers, one of the first big movies that I saw him in. I fucking love Jeepers Creepers. It's a great series. I don't care what anybody says. They're cheesy, they're horrible, and that's what I love about them partially. But I love the storyline, the characters, and everything. That's a great one. But Justin Long is awesome.
I think to round out the body horror, at least for me, which one am I going to choose? All right, fuck it. So I don't think we're going to have another one on here. I'm going to go with an animated film.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little piece from Japan called Akira.
Yeah, I mean, that technically covers it. That technically does cover it.
And body horror
at multiple levels too. The children, remember the dysmorphic children and everything.
Exactly.
In fact, one of my favorites is technically body horror, but it's in another category that we're going to talk about later too.
Yeah, and we're going to get these movies can and will cross genres.
Oh yeah, there's so
we know what to talk about it, but I just want to mention that. Just give you a different perspective on the movie Akira. It is definitely a body horror film.
It really is. In fact, I actually
and it was between that one. It was between that one and The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Okay. It very much so covers that category, but I didn't care for it that much. Akira, though, I loved Akira. I'm not that much into anime. I've actually got the action figure where it's the first time his arm turns into that giant, nasty abomination thing, and he's looking at it in horror. I've actually got that action figure, and the at the end, the music, Tetsuo Kaneda. and I'm not gonna lie, that motorcycle that Tetsuo had was pretty badass.
Yep, and they keep trying to make it for real.
It's not gonna happen, dude.
It's getting close. Okay, well, I think we should go ahead and jump to the next genre.
Which one's that? You got your notes?
This one's you, buddy. So
I believe that is going to be. Let me see which my second one was. Slasher.
Okay. Slasher. Now, when we talk about a slasher, we talk about the general slasher monsters: Jason, Michael, Freddy, and they
Ghostface.
He's included.
I know.
That is a slasher. So, where do you? All right. Everybody knows the slasher genre. We know the slasher is the most common, most celebrated genre in horror. So, where do you land? Is
I almost
Texas
have
Chainsaw
to choose.
Slasher?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is definitely a very gory slasher flick. you know,
Leatherface is
slasher flicks have been one of the largest categories pretty much for horror movies throughout the generations. All the B budget horrors, you know, a lot of them were just people just trying to chase people around and cut them with a knife.
mhm.
Black Christmas, you know, there's just so many freaking old movies that it's just been probably the largest category of movies I would say would be slasher.
Yeah.
And as you said, just right alone with the, you know, some of the Fab Five that you had right there with Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael, and all of them, you know, all of them, yeah, they're different genres of horror, but they're all slashers.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
Now, as you called earlier, I am a huge fanatic fan of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. I absolutely love everything Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for the exception of new Next Generation, which we like to pretend didn't happen.
Hey man, that was some of Matthew McConaughey's best work. You
Best
watch your mouth.
work on his fucking remote control leg. Um, this
Brilliant.
this is this right here is one of my grails. I have met every single member from the original Texas Chainsaw Horror or Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And this has always been one of my favorite movie posters too. Who will survive and what will be left of them? Uh,
Who will
I've
survive?
I've even got so much as I have the truck driver at the very end. You know, I've got everybody on there. I've
That's
met
awesome.
so many different people from the film. I've met so many different Leatherfaces or Bubba, whatever name you want to give him. Now, to pick one single solitary movie from this, now that right there is a task in itself. I can more or less pick a character, which would be Leatherface. But there's been so many Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. You know, 1976 being the best, one of the best ones, the original one. I just don't know if I can actually commit to picking just one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres.
I gotcha.
Um,
I gotcha.
you know, if I did, it would probably have to be the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one that
Okay.
started it all, the beginning with the camera, the noise that sound that they would make, you know, and the fact that this was something new, you know, that and up and coming, and it opened the doors for so many more movies and so many more things for people to do, to realize, holy shit, we can come up with a movie that's this shitty on this low of a budget and people are still fucking talking about it, you know, 40, 50 years later, you know. It's amazing. And I will say that I love the Jason films.
Okay.
I
All
love
right.
every single one of them. I even love Jason 10 when Jason's up in space. You know,
Jason in space.
hey, there's the one scene. Oh, hey guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back. Yeah, let's give the giant fucking guy made of metal now due to nanobot technology his fucking chainsaw. His machete. Like what the hell?
At one of the earliest horror movies I remember watching, um, was I want to say Jason Goes to Manhattan.
Yeah, that's one of the best ones.
You know, when is that the one where they stuck the thing in his chest and lightning struck it and he came back to life?
No, that was actually Jason 5.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Jason Goes to Manhattan is the one where he boards a ship and he ends up, you know, taking these college kids' ship or boat to Manhattan Island, and it's got the iconic scene where Jason's walking down the streets of Manhattan and some guys like are sitting there listening to the stereo and he just kicks the boombox and like just obliterates the boombox, and the guys are like, "Hey man, what the fuck?" And he just turns around and looks at them. They're like, "We're cool." That's so Jason Takes Manhattan is one of the ones where people hate, because this is the one where all of a sudden Jason has like teleporting powers, because one minute he's following people and they run through a building. They're on top of the building, and the next thing you know, Jason's right there on top of the building. He fist fights a guy and literally punches his head off. Like, it was a horrible film, and I loved every bit of it.
Oh my god! All right. Well, one of my favorite slashers,
Yeah.
um, and this might be controversial,
Okay.
and it is Freddy Krueger,
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
but not Robert Englund.
Did you like the remake?
I loved the remake.
So did I.
The remake is the remake makes Freddy scary the way he should be.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make a joke out of him. He's not over the top. He's a child predator and killed for his sins,
Mm-hmm.
and is coming back. And that is the Freddy scary, nasty horror as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
He's not playing with power. You know, he's a demon. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
he's a terrible soul damned to hell and is still trying to fuck up people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my favorites, and it's the remake, the 2010 remake,
And
Freddy.
dude, 100%, I'm there with you. I loved that movie. I think people didn't like it because they're so used to Scary Terry. You know, have you seen Rick and Morty?
Yeah, yeah.
They're, people are used to the Scary Terry version. You know, Robert Englund, where he's become a joke, a comedian in the way he is. You know, and people were wanting remakes to be like the originals, right? Well, you
Right.
can't do that. You can't do that with
You
this kind
can't
of movie.
catch lightning in a bottle again.
No, no.
It,
So they took the movie, they made it way more serious. I do not know the actor's name. It's the guy that plays Rorschach in The Watchmen.
I
Uh,
know. All the research I did, I didn't bother
he
trying
was
to
a
get his
great
name again.
choice. His
He was
voice,
fantastic. He was
uh, he's a little
fantastic.
short, but other than that, they did a great job. The way they slowly build up the scene and what happened, you know, in the basement, or I mean, in the cellar, and all that other shit that was going on. Like the way that they built up to it, it was a slow build, but it was a great build. And I don't care what anybody
It,
says, I loved it. I thought it was a great film too.
it made Freddy a vile, disgusting creature
Mm-hmm.
again, the way he should have always been,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely a reason to be horrified
Mm-hmm.
of. So that one is that's going to be one of my top slashers.
So my top slashers is going to have to be the 1976 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And you know, just from all the talking about it too, the more I'm realizing how excited I was about it, I'm gonna have to choose Jason Takes Manhattan. It was it was one of those movies that was so horrible, it was great. You know, kind of like the Leprechaun, so fucking horrible, but it's great.
God, I forgot. You know what? I actually legitimately forgot all about the Leprechaun movies until you just
How
mentioned it.
did you forget them? There were so many of them. There's
I guess I just blanked them. Just
there there's even Leprechaun Goes to the Hood. There was one where he's in space, and the way he manifested is he came out of a dude's dick.
oh, Jesus Christ.
It was pretty graphic, but and
Oh
it wasn't that
God.
what's his face, that wasn't that Warwick.
Warwick Davis was the
Yeah,
Leprechaun for some of them, and then I
yeah.
think at a certain point, Dylan Postel, he played Hornswoggle in WWE,
Hmm.
took over as Leprechaun at one point.
Okay.
Um, God. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm gonna have to go with House of a Thousand Corpses.
Such a great movie series.
Such a fantastic movie in general.
Hmm.
All three of them were great, but hands down, slasher movie. I got to give it to the Fireflies. Definitely, House of a Thousand Corpses. Um, it's what Rob Zombie does best.
Yeah.
It really is. All of his other movies are they're
We've talked about this. We've already talked about this
but
about
this trilogy, in particular, House of a Thousand Corpses, is just brilliant. I
Mhm.
would have never have known about Sid Haig. You know, I would have never have known about God, what's his name from The
Bill
Office?
Mosley. Oh,
Well,
I know who
um,
you're talking about. I know who you're talking about from The Office.
yeah, Bill. No, you mean
Dwight.
Dwight Schrute? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Bill Mosley
Mosley
was
was
Otis.
Herman Munster, right?
Uh, no, no, that was not Herman Munster. Bill Mosley is a really small guy, but he's the one that played Otis, the guy with the long white hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Otis. Hey, that wasn't Herman
Okay.
Munster.
Who played Herman?
Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but he has been in a lot of zombies films.
Oh, there we go.
But no, House of a Thousand Corpse was an absolutely amazing film. Dr. Satan and yeah, the introduction of, like you said, the Fireflies, who became like an iconic horror family.
Yeah,
Uh,
your
like the
Texas Chainsaw.
Sawyers, yeah, from
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw, and that's part of the reason I really did love the House of a Thousand Corpse, because you had all these different characters, each bringing something different to the scene and to the movie. You had the deformed one, which was Tiny,
Mm-hmm.
and he was such a great character. You had Rufus, which was more like the more reasonable person. Um, you had Mother Firefly, you had Baby Otis, and then Captain Spaulding, who didn't live with them, but he was still part of the Firefly family.
Right.
I think Captain Spaulding became an instant icon.
Yeah.
He's actually my handle on a lot of different things that I'm on is Captain Spaulding.
I even
So,
dressed up as him one year for Halloween.
oh yeah,
I did. I
yeah.
did. I was broke, and I was like, "Oh, I could do a cheap one."
Oh, it's all you have to do is have a bald head and a beard. You're done. Like half the work's done right
There.
there.
I know, right?
Yeah, but
Uh,
and the soundtrack too. The soundtrack for
yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpse was amazing.
No, I mean, what do you expect out of a zombie? He's at least going to
Hmm.
get the music right.
Well, I mean, it's not even just the fact that like he only produced a couple of songs for that movie.
No,
Uh,
no, but
but the
it being
music
him
choice
being
he
attached to
did
it,
choose,
right?
was a great soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm right there with you, and that's one of the just overall fantastic slasher movie. It 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 it, it it touched a lot of places that it needed to be. It was scary, and even though I don't like Fun Freddy,
Hmm.
there was the funny parts that were just it just came in just it took your emotions all over the damn place.
Yeah,
So I really appreciate that one.
I'm starting to think we
Um,
chose too many topics.
yeah, yeah. All right, well, then breeze through these last ones if you want to.
We can.
Um, let's just knock them out. Let's try not to do discussion about them too much. I mean, we're gonna be throwing out movie titles, and people should look
Yeah,
at them. Should look
yeah.
them up at least if they haven't. Check them out, or they'll agree or not agree with us. So my next genre is I chose Gothic, and I chose Gothic because when we talk about movies versus films,
Hmm.
I tend to think with horror films a little bit of class, a little bit of panache, and I'm not talking the big heavy hitters, Bram Stoker's Dracula or Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but those are the epitome
Hmm.
of gothic horror
Hmm.
films. But if I'm not going to count those two, then there are a couple that I do want to just say that are amazing if you liked those style of horror movies.
Hmm.
And I'm not, and it's not even just Universal monsters. I'm talking the storytelling, the overall the settings and stuff like that. So I want to mention first and foremost Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh God, that was such a great movie.
Such a
I didn't even
fantastic
think about
movie,
categorizing that in there.
right? Right.
See, for me, that would have
Um,
been a foreign film.
yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah, no. But we
can and
talked
will
about the
cross
cross class.
genres. Yeah. Crimson Peak. Do you ever see that one?
I don't think I did.
Do yourself a favor. Check out Crimson Peak. It is breathtaking to watch
All right,
and
writing that down
definitely
now.
scary. And then one that's not talked about very often is, and it's Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein Unbound. It's one of Raul Julia's movies. He plays Dr. Victor Frankenstein. Um, if you got the chance or you can find it streaming,
Hmm.
check that one out.
What's that one called? Frankenstein
Frankenstein
Unbound.
Unbound. hmm
All right, I might have to check that one out.
Anything come up for you for Gothic horror?
That was a hard one for me to choose, mostly because I don't typically watch that. And when I think gothic horror, for some reason, I immediately go to classics and vampires.
Sure. Sure.
Like Interview with the Vampire,
hmm
different things like that. That's kind of what I
Sure.
think. I will say all-time personal fan favorite, 1931, Frankenstein, followed up with Bride of Frankenstein, two of my favorites. I love Frankenstein. Those the story, Frankenstein's monster. I love those. I love those ones.
Just watched Frankenstein for the very first time within the past 5 years.
Really.
Really. And
Which
I've
one are
never
you?
seen Bride.
Oh man, see, Bride is great. Again, it's hard to beat the original.
Yeah, of course.
Um, Got to watch it with an open mind. But I grew up on Universal Monsters. Universal Studios Monsters. The,
hmm
the the thing from the Black Lagoon, Wolfman, all of those.
hmm
In fact, Benicio del Toro's Wolfman, I would say, would be a good movie to fit into this movie, into this category, as
Definitely.
as well. Um, but so my favorite for this category, I would have to say, would either be Nosferatu, yes, the classic Nosferatu silent film, or I'm gonna have to go with Benicio del Toro's Wolfman as one of the
Nice.
ones.
It's a good
It was a
choice.
really
Good
good movie. It
choice.
was nicely done.
And speaking of Nosferatu, I was going between Frankenstein Unbound and a Nosferatu movie, The Shadow of the Vampire.
That was also a great movie too. That was a
That
very
one,
damn good movie.
yeah, that one, that one just fell under for me, but I did want to mention that one
And
since
if
we're on Nosferatu.
and if I could pick a TV show, it would have been the new Dracula movie. It was a new movie. It was a short series. I think it was 3 or 4 parts, which kind of follows the story of Bram Stoker.
Hmm.
Where the gentleman goes to the house, he's slowly siphoning, his life essence. He's becoming younger. But in this show, we actually travel to the future, where because he sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and they finally brought him up to the surface, and he's like in present time. And
Hmm.
it was a
I've
pretty
never
good
heard of
series.
that.
It was a good series. It was called Dracula.
I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah,
All right, so on to your last sci-fi, sci-fi horror.
sci-fi slash space.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because a lot of people, if you think alien movies, you immediately think movies in outer space. But that doesn't necessarily have to coalesce. Aliens could be here on the planet, and thus it's not a space movie. It's more of just a sci-fi film.
Okay, I'm
Uh,
with you.
Two absolute sci-fi slash outer space films in the horror section would be Event Horizon.
Mm.
You talk about the grotesqueness and the gore. There's not many other sci-fi horror flicks. Sorry. Oh, excuse me. There's not many other sci-fi horror flicks that can meet that level of gore and horror than Event Horizon. Not only was it gory, it was psychological thriller. Like there was just so much going on in that movie. Um, Event Horizon and The Thing. Kurt
Yeah.
Russell's The
Right.
Thing. I have to put that in the sci-fi category. And
Could have been body horror.
It could have been, but I had already kind of picked it for that one, so I was like, it could go. That one could go a lot of different ways too,
Oh, yeah.
But The Thing was always one of my greatest favorite films. TNT, Late Night, Monster Vision, Joe Bob Briggs. Watching these movies and these shows growing up, and I watched a lot of those movies with my father. He's one of the reasons I really got into horror movies is because he would let me stay up late and watch Joe Bob Briggs and Monster Vision with him. And I loved all the aspects of horror. Mom hated it. I wasn't supposed to watch it.
The
But
Thing is on my list for
is it
sci-fi horror. It is definitely on my.
such a great one, man?
And it can go in the same category with the original Alien movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's an alien. It's
Mm-hmm.
killing shit. There's some mystery to it. You don't know who's what. You don't know where this thing's popping out of.
Mm-hmm.
The Thing is brilliant.
And when we
And if you spoke Swedish, the whole movie would have been spoiled in the first 10 minutes.
yeah, pretty much. What did you think about the prequel?
Never seen it.
Oh my god. Okay, so a
Never
lot of
seen
people thought it was kind of like a reboot. No,
Right.
it turns out it's a prequel where when that movie ends with the dog running away is where The Thing, the original one with Kurt Russell, starts to take place. So it's very much a prequel, and it's a great movie. Basically, you're finding out what happened before at the movie. Why are these guys chasing this dog and shooting it from a helicopter? Well, you kind of find out why.
Right.
And it's pretty gruesome.
Nice. Well, I mean, as far as sci-fis are concerned, for me, I came up with 4 the movies.
Okay.
The Thing,
Uh-huh.
which which you already talked about. The Mist.
Oh, that is good. Yeah, that was okay.
There's something in the mist.
The original or the remake?
The remake.
Okay. Oh, the ending of the remake. Like just
I know.
I
know. That's truly terrifying.
So fucking depressing.
And then there's 2. I don't know if you're familiar with these. The Cube.
I was gonna mention that earlier under body, because we're talking about so we're talking about Saw. We're talking about where people Hostel. The Saw. Okay, the Cube is a futuristic version of basically both Saw and Hostel.
Yeah.
It really is. There's
Yeah.
there's the Cube. There's the Cube 3D. The Cube 2, Cube 3D. I think there's 4 Cube movies.
Zero Cube.
Oh, Zero Cube. Yeah. Those movies were so fucking great, dude. I love them.
The first one I discovered, it came out of nowhere for me. I'm like, flipping through cable, and the one time, that I actually had cable, I'm like, what the hell is this? Oh, it just started. Okay, let's watch this. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, how truly terrifying to be locked in a box with doors all around you, and the only way you can get out was with math.
Yeah. Basically, for those who haven't seen it, picture a fucking-normous Rubik's Cube. And each one of the rooms has 6 entranceways or exits that you have to try and get through this Rubik's Cube and solve the puzzle. And each room is potentially booby-trapped. and you're not
Yeah.
alone.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
You have no idea. That actually just made my freaking day. The fact that you even mentioned the cube.
The Cube
So
is amazing. It's
yeah.
outside of horror. It's an amazing movie. I love
Hmm.
it. It's like a little indie movie that came out of nowhere,
It really
and
did.
yeah.
Like
And
there's
then
no publicity for it.
no, no. And then my last the movie
Hmm.
is one I just watched recently. I don't know what made me want to watch it, but it's called The Platform.
Oh God, that's such a good one.
It's a very good movie. Very fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, I don't know if I can give it justice. Uh, Depending on where you are in this prison, depends on how much food you get.
Hmm.
And it starts off at the very top, and the platform comes down the middle with food. And it's full at the very top, and as it goes down lower and lower and lower through the different cells,
Hmm.
there's going to be less and less food.
Yep.
It's absolutely captivating what the what people will do when they're hungry or when they're desperate,
Yeah.
even in those situations.
And it's
And
it's such a psychological mind fuck too of like what
it
would you
is
do if you were in that
absolutely
position?
completely
You know, and
absolutely
it literally is that. It's called the platform. There's a giant platform of food. And you couldn't keep any food. Remember?
no.
You
You got
you
to eat
could
it.
you couldn't just store it and put it aside.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No,
That
there
was
was those rules, but I don't. Like I said, I don't think I could describe it really to give it justice. If you can get a chance, read a synopsis on it or check out a trailer for it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's another little seems like another little indie movie that just came out of nowhere and it
mhm.
just hit the right places.
It really did. It really did. That was such a great movie too.
Right on, right on. So I think that we are down now to the last category, and the be all end all found footage. We all know
Yeah.
Blair Witch. The Blair Witch Project started a revolution in horror films. It started a revolution in filmmaking.
Mhm.
Found footage, I found out through doing the research, is not a concept that the Blair Witch Project came up with.
Mhm.
It's been around for years,
Mhm.
but what they did with it with horror, legitimately uh, started a new subgenre,
And
and
it was one of the first ones to really hit big screen theaters.
yeah, and you didn't know like the way that it was. This was at the infancy of the internet, and there was so much of their advertising and the way that they were explaining this movie is like, is this real? Is this
Mhm.
really like real thing that happened? Are we all watching a snuff film at this point?
Right?
What is going on with this? Total mass confusion, just for that alone, and really making the whole found footage genre come out into the open.
Yeah.
I got to give it to the Blair Witch Project. Um, but that's the
Ugh.
one. That's
Yeah.
the pinnacle. That's how where it is. It's the it's the Saw of body horror. It's
Yeah.
the Blair Witch. So when you were thinking about Blair, I know you thought about the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
But what were
Instantly.
some of the other ones that came to mind whenever you were thinking about the found footage and it really make you want
The big ones for me is I've got three, and one
fantastic?
of them made me cringe more than any other movie out there.
Mm,
Okay. So the
okay.
first one, I just loved this. I thought the concept was great. It eventually turned into be more storyline movie. But Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity is on my list.
It was a great movie.
It
The
was
fact that
legitimately.
but the fact that they kept going and they turned it into more of like a weird, crazy cult thing going on, it was pretty good. But it was one of the movies that maybe should have just stopped. I don't know,
Mm,
but it was still good though. I loved the
right.
concept of it. I loved what they did with that. Paranormal Activity was awesome. You're sitting there the whole movie too. You're like, what's going to happen in this scene? Oh, that door moved. You know, it's one of those ones that's got you on the edge of the seat. Like, what the fuck is going to happen? Um, Number two, kind of goes into the whole zombie-esque film too was VHS.
On my list as well. The very first VHS movie is amazing.
Uh-huh.
Amazing.
So getting into the zombie-esque is, I don't think they're related, but after I saw VHS, it got me interested in these. So that's why I have to give VHS a shout out. There was a movie called, it was REC, like recording. It
Mm-hmm.
was like REC and then like a symbol or something like QD. I can't remember the name of it. But it was a woman in a building and there was zombie type stuff going on. It was about, her filming the interactions and what was going on. And then lastly, and this is the movie that absolutely made me cringe. Okay. Just so y'all know, I am claustrophobic. Okay. I'm claustrophobic.
Mm-mm.
I can do certain things, but spelunking is a big fat fucking no. Just watching YouTube videos or a TikTok video of someone spelunking through a tiny little fucking hole, no thank you. Fuck that shit. Get out of here with it. That shit makes me cringe. It really does. I will. Ugh. So there's a movie takes place in France, where people are traveling through the catacombs and whatnot underground, trying to get to this rave place, and they start going through all this spelunking shit. It's called As Above, So Below. And shit, dude, I haven't cringed that much in a movie in a very long time. And the whole movie, they're going through all these super, super narrow ways, and whatnot. And I just, I couldn't. That movie, I watched it. I watched the whole movie, but it's one of the few movies that I haven't seen again because it legitimately made me cringe that much.
Mm. So, not part of found footage,
Mm-hmm.
but I have the same fear of and The Descent. The Descent,
Same
absolutely
movie.
and completely
Part
just
part one and part two. There was part two.
the first one.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't make it past. Like just no.
Like
no,
what person walks
no.
beside this small tiny little fucking hole and goes, you know what? I wonder what's down there. I'm gonna dive down into that hole.
Yeah, no,
What the
no.
fuck, dude?
Yeah, no. But the last found footage movie for me,
Mm-hmm.
and this could have went sci-fi. It could have went.
I think I know what you're gonna pick, and I hope you pick it.
And I'm picking Cloverfield.
Yes.
I am picking a kaiju movie.
Yep.
Cloverfield. It
Uh-huh.
is probably, even though it wasn't the first, it's probably one of the best found footage movies ever made. It's got body horror. It's got kaijus. It's got a
Little
love
aliens.
story. It's got little nibblers.
It was really
Yeah,
good. It was
it was fantastic. And I, yeah,
it
you
was
go
it
see
was hard for
Cloverfield.
me not to put that on.
If you haven't seen any of the Cloverfield movies, they're all
Mm-hmm.
good. The first one's just amazing, just absolutely amazing. I would think it's probably the best found footage movie ever
Mm-hmm.
made. So that is our topics.
Yeah.
That is all of our topics. That's all of our genres. Um, so down quick. I want you to write these down. Hopefully you got that.
I
I
didn't
want
write
to
shit
know.
down.
I want to know your top 5 favorite horror movies.
Okay.
Just overall
Top 5 horror favorite movies.
favorite horror movies.
And these might have some that I haven't had a chance to we talk about. Number 1, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, The Thing. Number 3, Phantasm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I need to see that one still.
Yep. Bruh. You got like 5 now. And that was actually my last one on my show and tell, by the way.
What's that? my god.
Original art by Brett Waddell-Day. Trying to get like no glare here. Not good at
Yeah.
that. That's Angus Scrimm and the main character Michael with the flying orb where that smash into people's foreheads and suck all their brains out. Yeah. There's I don't know how to categorize this movie, by the way, because it's weird. It's just a fucking all over the place. And that movie legitimately scared the shit out of me as a child. That's why it's one of my tops. This is really hard for me to pick some two more of all time tops. Evil Dead is going to have to be on that list. Bruce Campbell. I'm a huge Bruce Campbell fan and fan of the Evil Dead franchise. Um, so that gives me four.
Yeah. One more.
One more. You know, this is really hard coming from a huge fan. Like, I love so many of these horror flicks.
All right, so I'm gonna give you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead. And give
Let me
you
think
my
about it
five.
while you give me your five.
I'm gonna give you my five, and this is in no particular order.
Mm-hmm.
And this is movies that I have enjoyed here recently.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple newer ones in there. There's some classics that I, some of my earlier memories of watching movies in general did include these horror movies. So in no particular order, I'm going to start with The Exorcist.
Great movie.
Great movie. Then I'm going to go to one of the movies we talked about earlier that was in both of our lists for zombie movies, Dawn of the Dead. Then we're going to go a little newer, and we're going to say Red State.
Okay.
Red State is probably the best Kevin Smith movie in general,
Mm-hmm.
as far as filmmaking and writing is concerned. And then to top it all off, as a religious horror movie, it's just icing on the cake. A movie from one of the earliest memories of watching movies, Damien Omen 2.
That was a good one.
Right. And I was I was a little bit younger, or about the
Mm-hmm.
same age as Damien when I watched that movie for the first time. So that one really got to me. And oh gosh, this was hard.
I love the scene in the beginning of that one where she's like jumps from the beginning in part one. She's like, "This is
Mm-hmm.
all for you, Damien."
Yep. Yep. But I love seeing this this preteen teenage boy just discover he's the Antichrist,
Yeah.
and he's in this military academy, and I don't know, it resonated with me, I guess, because I was the same age as Damien. So okay, so my last one is a newer movie,
Okay.
about maybe a year or two old. Knock at the Cabin. M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, is that the one with Batista?
That is the one with Batista.
That was such a
That
fucking
is
great movie.
such a great movie.
It really
and
was.
another religious horror movie.
And I love all M. Night Shyamalan fans. Like lady in the pool or whatever. It's one of my favorites though.
Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
It's M. Night Shyamalan. He can hit or miss. But he definitely hit with this one, and that
Mhm.
was, I think, all thanks to either his direction or his capability of directing Dave Bautista.
Batista killed it in that movie, man.
So good.
I didn't know what to expect because
Right.
we haven't really had that much of a serious Batista.
We did in Blade Runner, and
Okay.
the Blade
Yeah.
Runner sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested in seeing what he does in the new Dune movie.
I haven't seen it yet either. I haven't seen part two.
No, it's on the queue. But he was just amazing. He was just so amazing, and I believed him
Mm-hmm.
coming through the screen.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, Knock at the Cabin, I think top 5
That was a great one.
of my overall
All right,
all-time favorite horror movies.
I got my fifth one.
What is
The original with Michael Berryman as Pluto. The Hills Have Eyes.
okay?
I love the remake as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but respect where to the roots. I loved The Hills Have Eyes. Um, Genetically, mutated due to nuclear fallout and debris, family going around killing people. It's awesome. I love that shit. I love. It's not really post-apocalyptic, although the family, their lifestyle is, if
Yes,
that
yeah.
makes sense, and
Sure.
I love that shit. I love nasty people. Like there's a movie called Hatchet with Crowley, and he's a disfigured guy, goes around, kills people with a hatchet. I love that genre, and to me, The Hills Have Eyes is one of the first movies that I ever saw that really had that genre, that feel to it. You know, so I'm gonna
You
have to
really
I'm gonna have
are.
to choose that one.
Yeah, you really are an old school horror guy, and I
I grew
appreciate
up
that
on this
about you.
shit. I
I
did. I
know.
grew up on this stuff, man.
I get it, man. I get it, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so and finally, the close it out as I want to know if you can. I'm gonna go first. 5 horror movies that legitimately scared you.
So far I can only list two.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be open. I'm gonna be raw and honest here. I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
I'm not laughing at you.
1988's Killer Clowns from Outer Space scared the fuck out of me.
That's
It
such a
doesn't
great
now,
movie.
but it did then. Also in 1988, Child's Play.
Okay.
Child's Play, and I'm surprised we didn't talk about him. I was trying to bring him up during slashers.
It's definitely one of the Mrs. favorite. We have several Chucky
Chucky
toys.
scared the hell out of me. If I was at just a young enough age, I
Uh-huh.
had my buddy. That fucker went out the door. Chucky fucked me up.
All right.
Now I watched it. I love the show. So funny. Um, Paranormal Activity.
Mm-hmm.
The very first Paranormal Activity scared the shit out of me. Don't know why. Can't explain it. And it's one particular scene that got me is when the camera was on the outside of the house
Mm-hmm.
and the pool cleaner machine just came out of the water. And that just scared the fuck out of me. And I noped and went straight to bed. Um, the Blair Witch Project.
Uh-huh.
The Blair Witch Project. I was fine. I was going along with it. Like, this can't be real. This is fine. This is nothing. Until the very last fucking frame of the movie. Camera turns. Homeboy's in the corner. You freak the fuck out, and you're done. Legitimately scared the shit out of me.
That was the only
Legitimately
creepiest part.
scared the fuck out of me.
I'll give you that one. Okay.
Okay.
So I've got 4.
Okay. I'm gonna give you
Um.
my last one.
Okay.
And
So
then we'll go from you because I
go.
just want to get this done with. Okay, I gotta shake
Yeah.
the shit loose.
Yeah.
1979's Amityville Horror.
Okay.
I've never finished watching it. Still, to this day. I won't go back and watch it.
Was it the flies?
Out.
Yeah.
Get out! Mm-mm.
What happened?
And I'm done.
I was waiting.
Done.
I was waiting for that.
I'm
I was waiting for everybody in the
done.
house to ask you what just happened.
I'm done. I literally flew over the back of the couch, went straight to my fucking room and under the covers. And I was 13 years old.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Literally. Scared the shit out of me.
So, two of mine I've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, the original Phantasm.
Right. I need to
Uh,
watch that. I still have
so
never seen it.
so the original Phantasm had Angus Scrimm as Jebediah Morningside. Yes, his name was Jebediah Morningside.
Okay.
You know, that's your boy's name. And there's this scene where he looks down to the main character Michael, and they're in a mausoleum of a cemetery, and he looks over at me. He goes, "Boy." And it's just the way that this old man says this and looks at this kid. It I don't know what it was about it, but that scene terrified me. For the
Mm-mm.
longest time, I didn't want to go to cemeteries because if I thought if I went to a cemetery, I thought he was going to be there, and I was afraid of those flying little orb things. I was an impressionable youth. This was
Yeah.
before I learned about movie magic cinemas.
Sure.
I thought that shit really happened in cemeteries. Lo and behold, I grew up and got married in one. So there's that.
Weirdo.
I know. I know. Hey, she's weird too. It was her idea.
I know.
Number two is going to have to be, as I said earlier, um, As Above, So Below. Uh, I haven't cringed that much in a movie ever.
Yeah.
Even The Descent, because The Descent was more. It was a film, I mean, it was there's a cameraman, whereas this was taken from a filmed movie, like a found film. It was taken from the perspective of the person and what they were seeing, and like when you see movies like that, it puts you more in their presence, like
Yeah.
it puts you more into the scene. And seeing all of that, I've never cringed that much in my life.
See, I would have. For me, those movies didn't really scare me as much as they just gave me so much anxiety.
And
So
that's how
much
that movie was.
anxiety.
That movie gave me fucking anxiety.
Yeah.
My heart was racing throughout that whole movie because I was cringing so much. I'm just, oh god, no, couldn't do it.
Get
Number
you.
three, I'm gonna have to take this from your list. I hated the Blair Witch movie. I thought it was stupid. The hype of that movie was way more exciting than that movie was.
Yes.
We're all
Yeah.
expecting to see the witch, and all you getting is this girl. I'm so scared right now, like just sitting there the whole
Not.
time. Yeah, like, but when she goes into that room at the very end and homeboy is standing in the fucking corner with her back to her, that that legitimately kind of gave me the creeps, because again, I
Mm-hmm.
put myself in that person's position. If I
Mm-hmm.
walked in and saw some shit like that, I'd freak the fuck out. So I would freak out, or I'd take a brick to the guy. I don't know which one. But
I
either
take a
way,
break in my pants.
yeah, either way, panic. And then number four. I can't think of a number five, but I can think of four.
Okay. It's
You ever
fair.
seen the movie The Strangers?
Is that the home invasion movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is the home invasion movie.
Yeah, I
The
totally block out
reason
home invasion horror movies.
the
I just,
reason the
yeah.
reason that movie scares me is because not I can pull a set aside, and I understand movies are movies. This shit's not real. The hills have eyes. Like, there's no creepy crawlies out there. This shit's not real. Okay. Um, but the movie The Strangers,
Yeah.
they break into these people's home, they torture them and kill them. Well, they don't kill her at the end. I think one of them survives. It's been a while since I've seen
Spoilers.
it. It's been a while. Spoilers, my ass. This movie came out in 2008. Okay, but there's one line in that movie where she's sitting there, she's bound and gagged into the chair, and they move the mouthpiece, or before she gets gagged, and she's crying, her husband's dying next to her and everything, and she asks, "Why are you doing this?" And in a very bone chilling, calm way, they just looked over at them and said, "Because you were home." And that movie freaked me the fuck out because unlike Michael Myers, unlike Jason, unlike Friday, Texas Chainsaw, this has a potential to happen.
Yeah.
And that movie kind of shook me a little bit, at the realization of holy shit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
they filmed it. They did a great job with that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
Scary as
I think I've got a fifth one for you, and I'm gonna have to admit something live to the 10 people that might watch this.
Oh, stop! There's only 5.
Oh, okay. So we've gone up. I was terrified of werewolves. Yeah, I know. Look at me like that all you want. So you know that they're the whole concept of fear of the unknown.
Sure.
Okay, well, things, your mind plays tricks on you in the dark.
Sure.
And what's not there, you don't know what the fuck is there in the darkness, in complete nothingness. Okay? So the movie Ginger Snaps, when she turned into the white wolf, and the way it shows the wolf when they're at the scene, when they're in the beginning, to when they're at the park late at night, and that concept of where they live around the woods, and that fucking wolf is going around, and it's the idea of that is fucking terrifying to me. I'm not gonna lie, because small part of me believes that these giant nasty wolf things are real. Not gonna lie.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Talking, even after mentioning how I can separate the fact that movie magic and whatnot, but it's the late at night werewolf that's crawling through neighborhoods and shit like that. The idea and the concept of that, it's kind of creepy to me. Not to mention the style of the werewolf that they used in that movie. It looks so realistic and nasty, and yeah, that movie kind of scared me.
I'm with you.
And because of that, I love the Ginger Snaps movies. All of them.
Fantastic. Well, with that and a snap, we're done.
Yep.
I think we went through all that we wanted to go through. Anybody watching or listening to this, please comment. Let us know. Hey, were there any great movies in these genres that we missed, or maybe some suggestions of movies that we should check out? Let's share them. Share it on our Discord, on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Please reach out and touch us, metaphysically speaking.
Or paranormal.
OATF, TG, or OZ and the Freak Talk Geek on all of our social medias. Hit up our link tree, hit the like, hit the subscribe, give us 4, 5 stars, whatever you can. Let's share this around. Let's have some more fun, and just let's keep doing this.
Yeah. As for the comments too, I always like to see some comments from y'all. Let me know what you thought, what your favorite horror movie was, what you found to be terrific, terrible, or terrifying.
Or call us pussies for the ones that actually scared us.
Yeah, that's true too. But keyboard warriors.
I like it. Well, this has been a terrifying and horrific podcast. I'm so glad I got to share it with you, Freak.
Slightly terrible.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching. For the Freak, I'm OZ. We've been talking geek.
Thank you all very much. I'm leaving that in there.
Bye.